Alrighty. What up, everybody? Welcome to the Sounds and Sights Daily Show with your host, Nick Saenz. Today is Wednesday, August 10th, 2022, and it's a good day. It's been an interesting few days. I feel like this has been one of my biggest struggles as an artist. Balancing content and music creation. I could sit in a room all day, create music, everything to do with music. And honestly, I enjoy making content also, or I've grown to enjoy it and view it as an extension of my art. But being able to create a repeatable plan is difficult, and it's something that I've had success with in kind of various different ways. So the first way that I approached it was completely probably the worst. So I'll go through a few ways that I've tried it over the past year or so, or three. But over the past 3 years, I've in some capacity tried to make content and make music at the same time with varying degrees of success. So all I can do, there's no one perfect fit solution for everybody, but let me at least tell you about mine. And you can kind of use that hopefully as some sort of clue as to whether it might work for you. So approach number one is not plan for it at all, which is basically what I did for the first year that I was doing it. And that was the worst. That was probably the worst of any of the things that I did. I felt exhausted. I felt like I wasn't able to be consistent. And overall, I just felt drained. And it actually even, I couldn't really find the joy in it, to be honest. So I would say that there has to be what I've learned is that planning helps with content. So, the second iteration of it that I did was, not having it be, was basically planning for it in the fact where I would have this notebook, this to-do list every day, and I would reference it. I would plan out the stuff that I needed to do for the day, both in terms of regular music and in terms of creating content. And that was definitely a step up. I would just be like, well, today I need to make some content, so I guess I'll just pick Instagram and try to think of something that would be good for Instagram. So that at least got me in the ballpark of creating content on a consistent basis. And then there were a lot of learnings with that. And I think that was, a very helpful kind of on-ramp to just getting better at making content and making it feel less intrusive in my kind of daily music making routines. The main learning from that is just, as take it from somebody who's been trying it for a little while, like, the one of the things that really helps is just doing it. It's like the mental block of going from nothing to something is always the biggest with anything you're going to do. If it's, sitting down at a project, if it's trying something new, if it's, that unknown where you don't even know how to start, you don't even know what you don't know. That's the scariest part. I think there was even a little quote in my notebook. It was like, the way to make a task the hardest it could be is by putting it off, like by building it up in your brain as something that it's honestly, it's not. I guarantee you, if you spend a week just twice a day, try and make a TikTok or something, or whatever it is, even if it's just take a selfie, post it. If you do that 2 times a day for a week, you start learning what you like, you start learning what you don't like, you start just kind of getting into the habit, you start figuring out what to look for and ways to make it your own. And even if it's not that, just the fact that you're doing it, there's like this momentum behind it. So that was my first learning, was just, doing is the best learning there is. You can study something as much as you want. You can, Google how to make content, and, sure, there may be some tips, but if 80% of your time isn't spent, of your content time isn't just trying to make content and see what works versus maybe 20% doing some research, then it's just not it's not going to work, and it's going to stay that big kind of monster in your head versus just kind of doing it, which is the same for a lot of things, but specifically with content, that's something that I felt that was the most exaggerated version of. So, and that kind of brings me to my current iteration of thinking about music and content, which is, very much inspired by Gary Vee. It's like basic as it sounds. I follow Gary Vee on Instagram, and I just kind of have followed him for a few years. And one of the things that I think comes up over and over again is the concept of like documentation over creation. So when I first started making content, I had no idea what to do, anything. I basically created these little skits called Nick versus Brain, which honestly I still think is an awesome idea, and I'll probably get back to it at some point. But it was these like scripted things where I would talk to my own mind personified, and I literally bought a brain hat. It was like this beanie that looked like a fucking brain on Amazon for like, $8. And that was a lot of fun. It was cool. And I did some things about the music, but the thing that made that hard was that it wasn't aligned with what I was just doing day to day. Like, sure, some of the themes slightly overlapped. I did one skit about, where I like to make music the most, but like for me, day to day in my stuff, making music in Ableton, singing, recording, exercising, like just doing the things that I did, the content wasn't there naturally. So naturally it fell off, or you've run out of ideas, you lose steam, and then what are you left with? You got to completely reimagine these things from scratch. So, there are some places where I think that can work, if you have a lot of people helping you, if you're just, doing something that maybe isn't, actually, I don't even want to say isn't entirely interesting, because like where I was going to go with that is making music is like, to be honest, it's fucking inherently cool and interesting, at least to me. I mean, maybe just because, this is what I obviously do for all the fucking time, and I would do it in my sleep. I would do it forever. So it's very interesting to me. But I think just in general, music and the ability to create music is a rare, cool thing. And I think it's almost just like, as a musician, if you're doing this at all, if you're recording yourself in a studio, if you're recording yourself in your fucking bedroom, if you're recording yourself at all, and if you're making music, and like that is by far and away probably cooler than most things that people are doing. So you're inherently doing cool stuff. So tap into that. So for me, making music in Ableton, recording myself singing, naturally I just think about artistry and the process of making music a lot, just because it's something I've always been curious about. So making content along that may seem kind of like I have to script it, but honestly, it's stuff I'm thinking about anyway all the time. So it's like this raging river of things that you're already doing. And I think one of the keys to creating sustainable content is not, you have this raging river over here, but then you're going to buy, Dasani over at the fucking 7-Eleven. Like, no, you have this river. Use it. Take a water bottle and just use the stuff, use the momentum of things that you're already doing, video it. Literally, like what I've been doing personally, as you can see on this channel, is I've been live streaming every single time I sit down at the DAW or I record myself in my vocal booth. I'm not saying you have to do that, but even if it wasn't for content, being able to objectively look back and see how I'm producing and some of the things that I do and some of the choices that I make, it's actually pretty interesting, even just to myself. And it's been very helpful. It's almost like looking at football tapes, studying yourself as you go about the thing that you do professionally, or just, as something that you find great interest in. But basically what I'm saying is, there's a lot of cool stuff that as an artist, you're probably already doing. So maybe an exercise would just be write it down, like literally like maybe not minute by minute. We don't need you, which molar you start on when you floss, but like the things that relate to music, the things that relate to your artistry. Are you making an album artwork today? Are you, thinking of maybe a cool video? Are you, going on a bike ride? Like the things that you're already doing are plenty interesting. And if they, by the fact that you're doing them, they kind of fit into your brand, because that is you. Like nowadays, that the brand is, can be, maybe some separate thing, but honestly, more often than not, the brand is you. You as a human, what you believe in, what, how you approach making music, what the music is, what you're saying. Like it's this whole package of this unique human that can't be reproduced by anybody else. That's the best thing. You can be yourself with just like 100%, and that's probably gonna win, because there's only, like, for me, like if I was I try to be my most authentic self all the time, just by the fact that, I'm like a Mexican tennis playing, went to Cornell for computer science, dropped out, found a job in New York, and has still made music, got banned from SoundCloud, like the whole, like, but that doesn't even have to be that crazy. Like everyone's story is unique. So use the stuff that you're already doing, use your unique story, use the things that you already kind of have going, and make, make some content out of it. And, there's the mechanics of actually videoing it and editing it, which I'll admit is a pain in the fucking ass. But I would say that it's just that at that point, it's more just like, how much do you want it? How much do you want to put out content to show the world your art? And if the answer is a lot, then, you might set aside 2 hours to edit some videos. That's just kind of what it is these days. Or, if you have more money, then you can hire someone to edit it. I'm like almost in that camp, but like not quite, because video editing, it adds up. And, so I don't know, I'm not quite there yet. So I'm editing a lot of video myself. But, it's just what we do as artists, to put our out into the world in a way that is true and authentic to us. So anyway, I know this is probably, I'm already like over the 10 minutes, but I think content is such an important part of being an artist in 2022. And like, as somebody that's actively doing it and thinking about it, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there, and hopefully hearing it from me as somebody that's trying can be helpful to you. We're in 2022, independent artists, content is kind of a part of the game. So, for better or for worse. But anyway, with that, I got up hella early this morning. I got in a great production session, although I think I messed up I didn't even mess up the audio this time. I'm just terrible with OBS. I used the wrong scene, so it was this, what you're seeing right now, and you couldn't see my Ableton screen, so I was like, fuck. But, whatever. So, anyway, with that, this light is like gonna give me a goddamn seizure. It's so bright. I need to change the color, but you know what? Maybe I'll do that now. So these, I don't have my flashlight on. So check this out. So these are actually pretty cool. These are newer lights, like not newer, but NEWEER, I think. But you can control them. I don't know if you can. Let me go over my face. You can control them with this app. So let's see. I'm gonna go. Boom, blue. Oh yeah, that's pretty fucking dope. I can kind of move it along. What do you guys think? Let's see. I feel like I like blue because you can actually see the details of my face a little bit more. They don't really make my eyes pop anymore because everything's blue. And if everything's special, nothing is special. Another important lesson of music. But anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just genuinely enjoy talking about being an artist and everything related to it. So if you have any questions, anything, any way at all that I could be helpful to you, please, please, please let me know. And maybe I'll put that, what I just, fucking hell, put that what I just said at the front, so that maybe you don't have to go for 12 minutes before figuring out that I'm here to help. But I am. If you've made it this far, then you're a fucking rock star. And please, I am available to you in any way that you need. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. As always,